Now you're live.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel where we talk about all things mindset and weightlifting, except when we do lives together. Today we are talking about the best supplements for performance. And the last time we did a live, we actually got a lot of questions regarding supplementation, especially things like creatine. So I think it's a great topic to cover, especially for those athletes out there wanting to know what can they take that's clean and safe.
Mm-hmm. So we've already got one viewer. So if you have any questions as well, just pop them in, and we'll just run through supplements that we know are effective, that work, that have the research backing them, and we'll probably cover the ones as well that you don't need to take, that are basically bullshit, so you don't fall into that same trap. Do you want to
Yeah.
start with anything that maybe you currently use that you like, and I can go deeper after that?
Yeah, I just want to say something. I
Okay.
don't know why, but if you guys are watching, doesn't James look a lot smaller than me?
You're trying to out angle me.
James has got very poor posture.
Carry on the supplements, thank you.
Okay, what was the question? Oh, what do I like to use? Okay, my favorite supplements that I like to use, firstly, to help me during training, help me with recovery. Will it include things like multidextrin?
Yeah, that's a supplement.
Yeah. So even things like multidextrin, because I am always on the gain train. I want to gain muscle. I want to gain some extra weight. So multidextrin is one of my favorite supplements to take, especially during training for just that extra boost of like energy and making sure I have enough fuel during my training and I don't feel depleted. So yeah, that's why I love taking the multidextrin during training. It's a very plain supplement, so I wouldn't recommend you drinking multidextrin as is. Always mix it with something. So what I like to do is I like mixing it with my BCAAs, even though the BCAAs are not there for anything really other than flavor. And James will tell you a bit more about why the BCAAs aren't really that good. But yeah, it would be the multidextrin. I love my creatine just because it
Oh, let
just
me touch on maltodextrin first.
okay.
Otherwise, you're just going through all of them.
Okay, but let's touch on multidextrin.
So obviously, maltodextrin is just a simple carbohydrate. Generally, if you're doing longer exercise sessions, maybe over 45 to 60 minutes, higher intensity, supplementing with carbohydrates can be a good idea just to help with your flipping pages over here. Can help with your
I'm trying to book appointments while we're doing the live.
with your energy levels throughout training, so it can help keep that intensity when you're doing longer sessions. It's also good for people who need to gain weight. So if you need, obviously when you're training, you're not taking any calories. So that's another way you can do it. You don't have to use maltodextrin as a simple carbohydrate. You can use Gatorade and Power, whatever other sports drink that has sugar in it. It's the same thing. Maltodextrin is just 1/10 of the price. But obviously you need to flavor it.
So
And
that's
then,
where the extra cost
yeah,
can come in.
yeah, exactly. And you're already looking at taking something like 20 to 40 grams of carbs you can sip on during your training if you have longer sessions.
Yeah, and you'll probably find that if you have a lot of space, then probably those bags are really amazing because they last like a whole year. It's huge. It's like a dog food bag. It's absolutely huge. But yeah, obviously, if you don't have a lot of space, I would probably go then maybe for something that's maybe a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to have it standing in your living room. Like that often happens with us.
All right, what else are you taking?
Creatine. And I know this was a big topic that we discussed in our live last time because I think there's a lot of misconceptions around what creatine does. And I think, especially around females taking creatine. And I just want to say, I've been taking creatine probably almost my whole life. And I've been
Oh,
taking, like,
okay.
literally since a baby, since I was like a young teenager, like probably 15, 16 years old. And because I came from a background of doing martial arts and I've always done heavy training, a lot of training, sometimes three times a day training. So I just needed that extra bit because I was so active as a child, and also with training so hard.
Yep, Gary, you can ask a non-supplement question. Carry on.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, taking it from such a young age, I've just found that, it's helped my performance. It's helped me stay consistent, give me a little bit of a boost regarding energy wise and just, preserving my muscle. Because I'm that kind of person that even when I take creatine, I don't gain weight. So I still have to make sure that I still eat a lot of food and I must make sure I get in enough calories.
Mm-hmm. So people often think creatine is like some special, I don't know, steroid.
Yes, so I must actually add this. So we actually had someone the other day talk to us, and there is a misconception. People do think that creatine is on the banned list. I will, however, say make sure that if you do get creatine
Or any
supplement, I would always get something that's got an informed sport sticker on it, or it's tested by a third party. What do you call it? Third party
testing.
Yeah, third party testing, just to make sure that everything is clean. As an athlete, it doesn't matter what you take, from food to, supplements, medications, creams, whatever. Make sure that everything is not, or that it's not illegal, and make sure that, whatever you take, just remember everything is taken at your own risk. This is a big thing with athletes going into a supplement store, and they will get the salesperson tell them, oh yeah, it's clean, it's just a pre-workout, or it's just herbal supplements. And there's actually been many professional athletes that's tested positive due to going in there, and they'll be like, but the salesperson told me it's clean. You, as the athlete, you are the responsible one. So whatever you put in your mouth, it doesn't matter what anyone around you say, no one's going to get banned except you. So make sure it's clean. What I normally do is, even if I'm sick and the doctor gives me medications or antibiotics, I always email my drug-free sport to make sure, like triple sure, that this is legal. Yeah, I just want to answer this.
Yep.
I'm 73 in the 73 weight class, and my clean and jerk is 108. But at 100 kgs, I'm inconsistent on the split jerk. Any advice on how to best achieve full lockout when training 90% of my PR? Your lockouts look solid. Firstly, thank you so much. Now, with regarding your clean and jerk, so your clean and jerk is 108, but at 100, you're inconsistent. So do you train split jerks by itself? And the other question is, when you clean, sometimes what happens is the athlete is so fatigued when they get to 90% that they do not have any strength and power left to jerk the weight. So it's very important to make sure that you do a lot of assistant exercises as well, to make sure that when it comes to the split jerk, if the clean really does fatigue you so much that when it comes to the jerk that you just can't split jerk it, I would definitely go and do some conditioning work. But then on the flip side of things, I would also go and do a lot of assistant jerk work. I would really go and train my upper body. I must say I've been lucky with the fact that, like, my split jerks have always been my better movement, but it also wasn't always like this. I actually was the athlete who used to clean a lot better than I split jerk. And a lot of people think that because my split jerks look quite solid, that I never really had a problem, but I had to train it that way. So I did a ton of overhead work. I actually have some athletes who are now currently doing a lot of overhead work, also with the same problem, where their clean is really strong, but their jerk doesn't match their clean. So we are really making sure we are doing a lot of volume on the heavier lift, so that if they get to the clean and the jerk part, that it doesn't matter how heavy the weight is, the jerk is still consistent. So I would really go and focus a lot on like assistant work, like your presses, your push presses. You could look at technical things. If, for example, when the weight gets heavier and your technique starts to change, things like jerk behind necks, single arm presses, even things like your snatch balances and drop snatches, those are all amazing exercises to work that explosive and aggressive punch. Also, another great exercise that doesn't really, it's not a weightlifting specific exercise. Like, you don't see a lot of people do this, but I actually love doing things like no, I can't remember the exercise name. Oh my gosh, I literally just hit a blank. Your jerk dip drives. So you can go really heavy with that, because sometimes you'll find that the athlete just loses posture with the weight on their shoulders. So it really, there's a lot of things that you can do, a lot of things that you can look at. It's very hard for me to say specifically what you need or what the actual problem is.
It looks like it could potentially be a leg drive issue.
But I can't say that because I haven't seen your movement. If I see your movement or I see a video, what you can actually do, Gary, I've got an Olympic weightlifting page called Olympic Weightlifting and CrossFit. And if you actually want to join it there and post some of your videos,
on Facebook.
On Facebook, yes. I can always, someone and myself or one of the other coaches on there will be able to see, because there's also a lot of coaches on there. You might get a lot of feedback. But yeah, I do some video analysis. So if you ever want to contact me to do some video analysis where we can maybe just look at technically wise what could be the issue, then we can definitely do that. Because like I said, it's very individualized, and every athlete could have a different little issue that you can address. And if you can just address the little issue, then it can make a massive difference at the end of the day. And you could probably find yourself actually having a split jerk that's stronger than your clean, which is really good actually. Because then you know that it doesn't matter what you clean, how tired you are, you'll always jerk it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. There you go.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question, Gary. Like, you can reply there and let me know if you have any other questions. We'll join the page and we'll post for sure. I definitely don't do as many, if at all, those exercises you mentioned. Thanks. Solid advice. Really appreciate it. And also keep up the content. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and definitely do post it there. I think, you'll get some valuable advice on there. And yeah, I appreciate all the support. That helps me make more content and also helps me stay motivated.
You want to go back to your supplement?
Sure.
Your creatine from birth.
Oh yeah, my creatine from birth. Okay, gotta run. Probably said thank you both. Yep. Thank you, Gary, for watching. We appreciate it. Okay, so regarding the creatine, yeah, so I basically took it from like teenage years, and a lot of people said to me, oh, you're gonna gain so much muscle, you're gonna look like a man, all these kind of things. And I'm like 33 years old now, and I do not have any of those qualities. So there definitely is a huge misconception. And people also look at bodybuilders, and this is where the big problem comes. They look at a bodybuilder, and the bodybuilders say they use this and this and this supplement. And people think that if they take things like creatine or protein or glutamine or whatever, that they are going to look like the bodybuilder, which is absolutely not true at all. There is no way. Firstly, genetically wise, you cannot look like that clean. And secondly, it is quite sad that they promote those kind of things and also say they look like that due to supplements, because it's also not the reason at all. So if you understand like the science behind what supplements does, you will know that there's absolutely no way. Not a female or even a male cannot even look like that. And they have more testosterone than females.
And even if you're doping, you won't get there either.
I don't know about that, because they do dope and they do get there.
I'm saying the people that are listening or see those things and think that creatine will make them look like that, if they dope, they're still not going to get to that level because they're not genetically gifted like that.
Genetically gifted, and you also have to train a shitload. Like a shitload and clever training. It's not just about doing a shitload of everything. Like, you have to train each and every muscle, body part, and making sure that you train specifically for, this thing or that thing. Or if you need to build more shoulders, you need to do more shoulder work. Or if you need to build more bigger glutes, to do more glute work. You do get men that also need to do those things. Just saying.
Really.
Yeah.
So obviously creatine, you want to take 3 to 5 grams a day, every single day. Regarding, I covered how it works in the last live stream, so maybe I won't go into too much detail. Maybe just go back to that live stream if you want to get the full scientific breakdown. I'll break down the, otherwise it's going to be too long, and I'll.
I just want to add, it's the one where we talk about being a hard gainer.
Yes.
Just in case, because I post a lot of YouTube videos, so you might get confused.
So the last video about hard gainers, you'll see how creatine works. With 35 grams a day, every day, you don't need to load it, so you don't need to take 20 grams a day for a week. Just take it consistently, and you're good to go. Take it any time of the day; it does not matter, as long as you're consistent. So just have a routine. So if you wake up in the morning, you have it with breakfast, or you have it with your protein shake, whatever, you do that. Which leads me to another supplement: is protein powder. Obviously, if you're going to take any 1 or 2 supplements, protein powder, creatine, you're sorted. You can just literally stay there for the rest of your life. But protein, so obviously there's a million different kinds of protein because every supplement company wants you to buy their new and best, whatever it is. Whey protein obviously has the most research behind it, generally the most effective, spikes the building of new proteins. I guess you could say the best after training or after taking it or after eating it. Within whey protein itself, obviously you have whey protein like concentrate, you'll see isolate, you'll see hydrolysate, there's combinations, whatever. Generally, the only real thing you need to worry about is if you are lactose intolerant or you have some lactose problems, and you'll go for something like an isolate or a hydrolysate because it doesn't have lactose in it, or it doesn't have as much lactose in it. So it's easier to digest for you. If you don't have any issues, just go with concentrate because it's cheaper. If money's not a problem, go with whatever. It's not going to matter so much. Now, if maybe you don't eat dairy, or you don't want to use whey protein for whatever reason, then there are other options. Obviously, you have your vegan proteins and things. Unless you are a vegetarian or vegan, I wouldn't recommend going down that route. I would recommend going down like a beef, good quality beef protein. Some good research showing that over the long term, even though it doesn't spike the building of new muscle at the same magnitude as a whey protein, over the long term, you still get similar gains in muscle strength, etc., etc. So taking a high quality beef protein is important. Obviously, if you find a beef protein that's really cheap, it's usually loaded with really cheap, shitty collagen protein. So just be careful there. Obviously, collagen is the new big thing right now, but collagen's fucking useless. Or anything to do with building muscle, getting strong, etc. But collagen does have one very good property. I'll transition quickly now. So we've covered that protein. I'll come back to that too. But collagen protein has one really good, I guess you could say, use case, and that is with tendon health. So if you're suffering from knee tendon pain, whatever it is, tendon pain, obviously the treatment for tendon pain is loading. So if you just rest, it's not going to get better. Just don't rest if you have tendon pain. You need to actually load it every day. And by loading it, you want to do slow, I guess you could say, slow eccentric movements, but also isometric. So if you're looking at the scale of movement speed, you have obviously your concentric movement, which is the muscle shortening. You have eccentric, which is muscle lengthening. So if you think standing up in a squat would be concentric for the quads, descending in the squat would be eccentric for the quads, and then sitting in the bottom position and not moving at all would be isometric because there's no change in muscle length. But when it comes to tendons, there is no truly isometric, I guess, contraction. And it's considered one of the slower contractions where we sit in a long duration isometric. We have all the cross bridges of the collagen fibers, and we start to have this, what is called tendon creep. So that's why when you go to the physio and you have tendon pain, they give you eccentric exercises because they want you to move slowly through load, and eventually you start to rearrange those collagen fibers in the tendon so they're aligned, and you essentially relieve that pain. Isometrics are even slower, and they have better, I guess, opportunity to create that tendon creep, and you can do it under longer time periods. So you can literally hold, say, isometric split squats. Oh, come on.
I think we need an
isometric split squats for 1 to 5 minutes, and that'll for knee tendon pain, and that can help rearrange those collagen fibers. Now, where collagen protein comes in is you take collagen protein I think it's around 30 to 60 minutes before your training. And then you do this, and this helps enhance that collagen, essentially growing of new collagen fibers within the tendon. Pair that with vitamin C, and you've got an even stronger stimulus. So that's one way you can use collagen, but other than that, it's useless. Coming back to whey protein and beef protein, whatever else, protein powder, again, it's not some magical supplement. It's just going to help you supplement protein in your diet. So if you struggle to eat whatever it is, reach your protein targets in a day, and you need a scoop of protein that's going to give you 20 to 30 grams to get you there, perfect. You don't have to have it directly after training. It's just easy because obviously you're at the gym, driving home, whatever it is. And it's easier than trying to get a whole meal out. So that's just, people generally take it then because it's the most convenient, but you don't have to. You can have it in the morning, afternoon, whenever it is. So obviously, yeah, whey protein, beef protein are good options. And then collagen protein, if you're suffering from tendon pain, you can have before the training session.
That was a lot.
It was a lot.
Okay. I want to add two things quickly. The first thing is like with regarding what James was talking about, if you are lactose intolerant, like, so any other protein other than whey isolate, like I actually get
get bad reactions.
Yeah, I get bad reactions, and not so much my stomach, where a lot of people will say whey protein will like mess up their stomach and stuff like that. I actually get skin flare-ups. So we actually try and stay away, or I try and stay away from whey protein at all, unless it's whey isolate. So I am absolutely fine with whey isolate. I've been fine with it actually like almost my whole life. Like that's the protein that I would use. But again, like James said, it's also a lot more expensive. But it's good if, for example, you cannot consume whey protein and you cannot consume enough protein within the day. So again, he's fine with normal proteins. So I will switch over and use the whey isolate and use that for, my smoothies, my protein shakes. Even if I sometimes make things like oats, I'll put my protein over, or, yogurt or whatever. And that's just kind of to add to my protein of the day. Now, my second thing that is really like important here is, everyone also thinks that supplements is this magic pill. It's going to make them stronger. It's going to make them lose weight. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. But we would also, and I think James is on the same like boat here with me, we would never, ever recommend any supplement unless your eating is 100%, because you are not going to be able to, firstly, that supplement is not going to do its job if you're not eating properly. So if you have a really shitty diet and you're just not caring what you're eating and you're not training properly, the supplement isn't going to fix anything. It's not a magic pill. It's not going to do anything for you. You're actually just throwing your money down the drain. The supplement is there like it is. It says it's supplement when everything is, already you've done everything with regards to your recovery as much as you can. You're getting sunlight, sleeping enough, making sure you're getting enough food. So that with regarding food, it's like your proteins, your fats, your carbs, making sure that, all of that is just done really well. And then if you lack anything, then you will add a supplement on top of that. But never ever think that if you take a supplement that it's going to fix anything. It's going to help you get stronger. It's going to do this. If your diet is lacking, then the supplement isn't going to do anything for you.
One caveat to that is obviously protein powder, because protein powder is pretty much a food, just in powder form. Yeah. So if you can't hit your protein target, that's one thing.
But I do want to add, there's a lot of people who will go and buy those RTD drinks. So it's a ready to drink. And I have seen a lot of people gain a lot of weight on it, because also a lot of times they don't read the full ingredients and there's a whole bunch of crap in there. And then they will go and just drink those RTDs the whole day, thinking that, oh, I'm fueling my protein levels. And at the end of the day,
it's like 500 calories a drink times 6.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't even recommend the protein unless you've done everything you can to get in your food first and then adding the protein.
For sure.
I just want to add, what's going on with this camera?
And then the other protein to
really
cover
irritates me.
Is casein. Obviously, that gets marketed as the nighttime protein because it's slow releasing, so people have it before bed, which is a good option. You can do that. It's also if you're cooking with protein powder, so if you're making like protein pancakes or I don't know what else people.
I do want to ask there because there is also a question regarding heat. So
No,
the heat?
No, I don't think so.
Because
I need to look into it further.
Yeah, because I've heard or I've read that heat can destroy, and it must be because the thing is, if you leave your supplements and stuff outside, they always say don't leave it in the sun or put it in a cool storage because it can lose its quality.
I don't think it does when you cook it though. But I'll look into it more.
If I have a bunch of people unfollow me now because you are saying you can cook with your supplements.
You cook with casein and stuff. We do it all the time. But you need to use casein because it's thicker. So that just helps. That's just something to do. But you don't need casein. You can just have it if you want. It's more of a luxury thing. Should we cover off? I know you love your caffeine as well. Let's cover off another real simple one that everyone does, and I'll get into the more, I guess, not obscure ones, but ones that people don't usually take and potentially should. But let's cover caffeine first. I know you love your caffeine. How do you get your caffeine?
Before I cover caffeine by itself, I want to talk about pre-workout.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll come to that too.
Pre-workout, again, is one of those where you have to be really careful about taking in banned substances because you will sometimes see that the product range that you're buying from or the supplement shop, maybe that product range, like a lot of the supplements will have the informed sporting on. It will say it's third-party tested, it's doping-free, all of that, but not the pre-workout. So I've seen this many times where all of it will have except for the pre-workout. So really do make sure that when it comes to pre-workouts, and that's why I'm like scared to recommend any pre-workouts ever because again, it's at your own risk. But I know there are good pre-workouts out there. I tend to like getting the ones with the like least amount of stuff in it, just because I know that I'm not getting in 50 billion trace elements, for example. And that's the thing, like if there's no actual number of how much each thing is into your supplement, then it's just trace elements. It's just for them to say that there's potentially just a dab of it in there, but it can't really do anything. So if you are like, oh, ginkgo biloba is so amazing, and then they say it's just a trace element in there, you're not going to get any ginkgo biloba, or if any, like very little, very, very little.
So usually underdosed massively.
Underdosed, yeah. So again, with like pre-workouts and stuff, like honestly, one of the ones that I've used that has got some of the least amount of like ingredients in it that I've just liked, because I know for a fact that it's got the third party tested, it says trusted informed sport on it, is actually the Optimum Nutrition pre-workout. And it literally, I don't know if it's changed now, I haven't had pre-workouts in a very long time, but it used to only have caffeine, creatine, and one other thing.
Not sure.
Yeah, it had one other thing in, but it literally only had 3 ingredients in it. And knowing that it only has 3 ingredients in it, for me, that was all I needed in order to just feel a little bit of a boost and just get through my training with some added energy. But I also want to say, like, there's a lot of people out there where they're like, oh my gosh, I see all these people using pre-workouts, and then they start using a pre-workout and they start to get the jitters and they start to shake and whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of supplements out there, and especially pre-workouts, that's like also got a huge amount of caffeine in it. So check how much caffeine is in there. And if at first you want to try it out, rather try like a half a scoop or even a quarter of a scoop, just to get like a little bit in and see how your tolerance is, especially if you've never used a pre-workout. And then you can always add from there. But by using a full scoop, because you think all of a sudden I'm going to get the most amazing training, especially if you're not used to having that amount of caffeine, it will definitely affect you, and not in the good way. I mean, once before I took a pre-workout and it had a huge amount of caffeine, and I wasn't used to that even. And I take a lot of caffeine, but I wasn't even used to that amount of caffeine, and I literally vomited a whole day from that supplement. And to be honest, I've never taken that supplement again. I've never tried it. Like, I've just literally left it. It was super expensive, but I was just like, I can't even. Now, if anything is a lemonade flavor, I do not even touch it. Like, it reminds me of that supplement. So I had a really
What
bad
was it?
experience. It might have been it's the red bottle, Inno Explode. I think it used
Was it No Explode?
yeah, I think it was the Inno Explode, not No Explode.
Yeah, No Explode.
It's Inno Explode. I'm pretty sure it's Inno Explode. But in any case, it was the Inno Explode, and it was some lemonade flavor, and it was just so gross. And like,
you're better off just making your own pre-workout from the supplements we give you here.
Exactly.
All right. So caffeine, you want?
Oh, I do want to add though. So now, if I don't understand,
because they keep moving. Just
I think we need to invest in a better camera. So if you guys think that I should invest in a better camera, you can comment below, and then we can also send you our PayPal, and you can sponsor us. It will be so amazing. So we can make amazing content for you guys. So regarding caffeine, so yes, like for example, you do get caffeine through your coffee. But I find that what I will do now is I will have, if I feel like my energy is running really low, I will take a tablet of a caffeine pill, and I'll actually take it with L-Theanine, just so I don't get the jitters, because I can also, because I have anxiety. And I know there's a lot of people out there who does have anxiety, and also they take all these supplements and the anxiety actually gets worse. So I do want to say like what helps me. So again, this is something you have to experiment with. And this is something I've experimented with, is if I take a half a caffeine pill, which is about 100 milligrams, and then plus an L-Theanine, I tend to find that I don't get the jitters. I don't feel all shaky. I just kind of feel focused and fine. I don't get like shaky or anything. So that has definitely been like my go-to pre-workout, you can say, for like the last 6 months or year, and it's worked wonders. I take that before like my training session. Caffeine before workouts for me screws with my heart, so I got to be careful. Exactly. That is why, if you know that your body does not do well on caffeine, then don't take it at all. Like, I have people that come to me that say to me, Mona, I have a lot of energy. Like, I just eat well in the mornings. Like, if I train at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'll just drink water and I have energy, or I'll drink, a tea or whatever. I say, stay with it. Whatever works for you, don't change it. If you already have, there's nothing to be added. Like, everything works normally. You have enough energy to function throughout the day. Don't go and think that an added supplement of caffeine is going to make a massive difference. It could actually harm you, rather than actually be a benefit to you. So Edward, that's a great example of like what caffeine can do. So that's why, it's something that like you must know your body, and if anything, experiment with it with a very low dose. And if you're fine with that, then obviously you can add some more. But if you know that it messes with your heart rate, don't take it.
Yeah, there's things you can do. So if you find, depending on the person you are, obviously you metabolize caffeine differently. So there's research showing caffeine can actually be detrimental to some people's performance too. So if you find that, obviously you're probably not going to have caffeine. But if you find that caffeine does help you, you can start with lower doses. So I'm sensitive to caffeine myself. I can get by with 50 milligrams, which is nothing, less than half a cup of coffee even.
Where I can get by like 200 milligrams.
Yeah, exactly.
I can drink a bang drink and I'm like, good. Where James would drink like a quarter of a bang drink.
If I drink a bang drink, I would be like you, Edward. I would be on the floor, probably having a heart attack. So
don't say stuff like that.
So one thing is lower dose of caffeine, and also, as Mona said, pair it with L-Theanine. That usually takes a lot of the jitters away and makes it a lot more bearable. Usually a 2-to-1 ratio of L-Theanine to caffeine. So if you're having 50 milligrams of caffeine, you'll have 100 milligrams of L-Theanine. But as I mentioned in the last live stream, obviously supplement companies now selling, large doses of everything. So sometimes it's hard to find lower doses. So even I've been doing high doses, like 4-to-1 L-Theanine to caffeine. That's been actually really good too. So play around with that. That's one thing you do. And obviously the L-Theanine and caffeine has a synergistic effect. That's one of the original nootropics or smart drugs or brain drugs. And there's some good research showing bit of focus, attention, all that stuff when you pair those two together anyway. So you're going to get those benefits as well. So, and remember as well with caffeine, like as Mona said with pre-workout, like the main ingredient in a pre-workout generally is the caffeine. That is where you're getting your performance enhancing benefits from the pre-workout. So everything else in there usually is underdosed anyway. Sometimes you can find good pre-workouts that are generally dosed well with other ingredients, but
Do you know of one that is really good?
It just depends on what kind of pre-workout you're after or what you're kind of taking it for. So I don't know any off the top of my head, but I'll go through some of the ingredients now that are common in a typical pre-workout that can help. But there's some now that are a little more obscure, probably that maybe you don't take or you would like to take. They have good benefits. So going down the endurance route. So if any of you are endurance athletes, want to be able to run longer, maybe you do CrossFit or something, and you want to be able to do your WODs at a higher intensity, et cetera, et cetera. There are a few supplements you can take. First one, L-Citrulline. So most pre-workouts now have L-Citrulline or citrulline malate, which is a similar thing anyway. But most of them are underdosed. So if you're taking L-Citrulline in a pre-workout, you need above usually 6 grams in the dose, especially for an acute effect. Otherwise, you're looking at between like 3 to 6 grams every day, kind of like you would take your creatine. So L-Citrulline is.
I wanted to add. I looked up. Remember, I said that supplement that I was taking the pre-workout from Optimum Nutrition. The third ingredient was the Beta-Alanine.
Yep, we'll cover that.
Yeah, and that was because I remember it had the three. It has caffeine, Beta-Alanine, and creatine.
It also has L-Citrulline, but massively underdosed. So.
Oh yeah, they added the fourth thing now. I'm pretty sure there wasn't a fourth.
So they have 750 milligrams of Alcitrine. That's not enough to do anything. So that's just in there, just so they can say it's in there. But
can I ask something?
Yes.
If they take a pre-workout and they listen to this video now and they're like, oh, okay, I want to take the Optimum Nutrition because they think it's a good supplement, but now you say the citrulline is way underdosed. Would you then recommend they take extra L-Citrulline on top of that?
If you wanted that effect, yeah.
Okay, and what effect does it have, and how much would they take?
Yep, I'm about to get into that now.
Okay, I need to ask James all these questions, otherwise he goes down rabbit holes.
Well, so as mentioned, 3 to 6 grams every day. If you're taking it acutely, 6 to 8 grams even. 8 grams seems to be from the research currently that we're looking at a good effect using it. But what it does is essentially, Alcitrine is like, remember back in the day, like your no explode days, where you would take where you would take no explode, and you take it because the L-Arginine, right? So L-Arginine was the nitric oxide booster, where everyone was like, yeah, I'm taking this nitric oxide booster, L-Arginine, so I'm going to get massive pumps in the gym and get ripped. The only problem is L-Arginine isn't absorbed well in the gut. So you take this L-Arginine, and instead of this L-Arginine being converted into nitric oxide, which essentially dilates the blood vessels, so you get better blood flow, because it's not absorbed, you don't get that nitric oxide effect. So what L-Citrulline does is it bypasses this effect by being broken down in the kidneys. So L-Citrulline gets broken down in the kidneys to L-Arginine, bypasses the gut, and now you've got more L-Arginine to convert into nitric oxide to get that pump. So that's why L-Citrulline is a superior endurance supplement, or even a pump supplement, compared to L-Arginine. So that's why you take L-Citrulline. Now, with that, well, I guess I covered when to take. I already covered how much to take. What was the other question?
L-Citrulline.
Yeah, I've covered that.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry. I had to Google.
We're listening, of course. So, L-Citrulline is something you should take. Endurance supplement. It's a nitric oxide booster. It's going to dilate blood vessels, better blood flow, better pumps, better endurance performance. There's some good research behind it. Then you've also got Beta-Alanine. Now,
I want to cover Beta-Alanine. Yes. And I think also a good thing to cover after Beta-Alanine, and if any of you guys that are watching right now have fallen into the trap of wanting to buy fat burners, would you be able to talk a little bit about fat burners and what they do?
Nothing. What's next?
So fat burners are like probably some of the worst things they can do.
A fat burner is literally just caffeine. And because caffeine increases all sorts of things then you can move more, etc., etc.
But I've also seen a lot of them with the derivatives of caffeine in it. I think it's called.
A lot of them have L-Carnitine, but L-Carnitine doesn't actually burn fat.
No, like there's hectic ones out there that's got like
thermogenic things.
What is the derivative of caffeine now?
No idea.
Well, anyways, there was like the Jack 3D. It had it in, and so the derivative.
Oh, you're talking about like amphetamine?
No. Well,
it was basically meth.
It's banned, and a lot of it has got yes. So that is why a lot of I actually know professional athletes who's taken fat burners who now has heart problems for the rest of their life due to taking things like fat burners. Any advice for Muslims practicing Ramadan? No food or water drinks. Should I stop Ollie lifting? Any supplement advice? I'll cover the Olympic lifting. James can talk about any supplement advice. That's a very good question because I've actually competed with a lot of athletes who are Muslims before, and when we went to big competitions like All African Games, World Championships, they would actually be practicing Ramadan during that time. And I say always, like, I have a huge respect for those people because they put their religion, obviously their religion comes first. And, training, even if they're training for the World Championships or like really big events, they still make sure that, that becomes secondary during that time. So huge respect for that. When it comes to weightlifting, I have actually been with the athletes who would continue training, but because you are not fueling anything during that time, I would be very careful with how hard I train. I wouldn't, for example, go and do 1 rep maxes or go and do huge volume amounts of training. So especially like really heavy, intense stuff, just because it takes so much out of your body and you'll probably do more damage and harm than good. So still training during that time is good, but just making sure you can maybe take, if you have, say you're training for a competition, I would use that time as, a deload or just a really, so low percentages, take it as a deload, take it as, the time to just kind of move and work on technique, if anything, just to make sure that, you don't harm yourself or put yourself into a position to get injured or just mess up your nervous system and stuff like that. So definitely with regards to training, that is my advice. With regards to supplement advice, that depends on person to person. It depends on what level athlete you are, and also, for example, if anything, I would just, during the time where you can eat, which I seem to remember or can remember, I think it's when the sun goes down, you can eat, and I would then just try and make sure I get all my nutrients in. So I'll really focus on getting in enough protein, enough carbs, enough fats, and then obviously on top of that, if you need some extra protein or even some creatine during that time, I would even take something like potentially like a rehydrate, especially if you are training during that time, just to make sure you are hydrating also properly.
This reminds me of, so if anyone's into rugby and rugby league, Sonny Bill Williams, so obviously he converted to a Muslim not too long ago, but he played in the NRL during the month of Ramadan. So if you're not familiar, pro rugby league, you're training twice a day, most days of the week, plus playing a match on the weekends. And he did this. And if you search Sonny Bill Williams Ramadan, maybe just search that. There's some articles, and there's one here showing that basically they essentially moved most of his training to before dawn and after sunset. So it means he could eat around his training. So that's something you can do as well, if it's possible, to try train in those times where you can eat and drink. That's something you can do. So if you just search Sonny Bill Williams Ramadan, you'll find some how he did it.
Yeah.
And probably one of the most intense, I guess, training, because you're not just training maybe strength, you're training strength, endurance, and all that stuff too. So there's something you can try there, Mohammed.
But yeah, I think that's a really good question, because if there's anyone that listens and watches our video afterwards that fall into that category, the fact that you asked this question would provide a lot of valuable information for them. So thank you for asking that question, Mohammed.
Should we move back to beta-alanine?
Sure, let's talk about beta-alanine.
So,
Beta-alanine. Firstly, if you take beta-alanine,
you're gonna tingle.
If you tingle and itch, so for me, I itch around my forehead. It's the weirdest thing, and my ears. Like I don't itch anywhere else, but I will get like over here. I want to just rub my forehead the whole time, and like my ears go really red. That's how I know. Okay, my beta-alanine is kicked in now.
So I just start at the feet and works its way up to my head, or it starts at my head and works its way down to my feet. But
as you can see, we are two very different people, and supplements affect us very differently. And I think it's very good for people to see that there's like not one size fits all.
Yeah.
Like we literally are like the complete opposites with like everything, with caffeine, with protein, with beta-alanine, with food. So yeah.
Many people equate that tingling to like their pre-workout working, which it doesn't mean anything. It's known as paresthesia, so it's just a side effect of taking beta-alanine. That no, it's not harmful. It's just a side effect that happens when you take it. So if you get that, don't worry, it's not a problem. If you take a lot of beta-alanine, you haven't taken it before, it could potentially be really uncomfortable. So it's just something you get used to. It's not something that
some people think they're getting an allergic reaction, actually.
Yeah, true, but you're not. And you can't dull it over time. It's not like caffeine where you can build up your tolerance. You can't build up tolerance to paresthesia. It just happens every time.
I actually want to say I have found that, and I don't know, again, this is where I don't know the science behind the female body like to that extent, but I have found in different times in my cycle, the beta-alanine will be more or less. So I've also found that like at times where if I've had a really big meal and like say an hour afterwards, I take my beta-alanine, I tend to have no effect. But then if I haven't eaten for like 2 hours, I tend to feel I get extra tingly. So also it does affect you differently. So if you have a time where, for example, you don't get that extra tingly, especially if you're a female athlete,
it's still working.
It's still working. Yeah, exactly.
So beta-alanine is another endurance supplement, but instead of dilating blood vessels and improving blood flow, essentially you're removing waste products from energy metabolism, essentially, that allows you to maintain a higher intensity for longer. So you're essentially improving the intensity that you can train at within 1 to 4 minutes. Essentially, that's kind of like the time frame. So think of like a 400 or 800 meter runner who wants to improve their times. You'll be able to maintain a faster pace, essentially, for your race or your training or whatever it is. Obviously, this can be important for, I guess you could say, shorter CrossFit workouts and things like that. So there's a lot of application where you can use this. Now, how it works is taking it essentially increases your levels of carnosine, and then this carnosine helps to buffer these hydrogen ions. So these H+ ions, which essentially acidify the muscle. So if we go back to essentially just basic energy metabolism, producing energy for the muscles to work, as we cannot essentially create new energy through the aerobic energy system using oxygen, we can't keep up with essentially metabolizing this lactate. So people talk about lactic acid buildup, blah, blah, blah. Keep it really simple. Aerobic metabolism cannot metabolize that lactate anymore, and this lactate builds up. As lactate builds up, we also get a buildup of these waste products, namely hydrogen ions. These hydrogen ions make the muscle acidic, and then that negatively impacts the contractile properties of the muscle. When we have high levels of carnosine, we can break down those H+ ions better, or more of them, and then we can maintain our force production for longer without fatigue. So you're looking to take around, it just depends, but I think it's around 1 to 3 grams before training, and then you're going to get the tingly feeling and you're good to go. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
I remember being told I need to take 6,000.
That's crazy.
I'm pretty sure I was told that.
You'll tingle your balls off if you take 6,000 milligrams of beta-alanine.
I'm pretty sure that was the amount. And I'm actually pretty sure it came from James. But
get out of here. Anyway, moving on. Another endurance supplement that no one talks about, and the reason no one talks about it is because it's so damn cheap and it's in your cupboard right now. and that's sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, so things you do your baking with. Taking baking soda has the similar effect to beta-alanine, but instead of raising carnosine levels, it essentially raises your pH slightly, so you've got that buffer. So if you understand do you know the pH scale?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just double checking. So
You mean if something is acidic or if it's
Yes.
alkaline?
Perfect.
Who wouldn't know that?
There's people out there that don't know this stuff. I'm just
You
double
see, just
checking.
because I mentioned the 6,000 thing, now he's
Yeah.
like trying to attack me and
Yeah.
be like, okay, she doesn't know the pH
Yeah.
scale.
So essentially, you're going to be
No comment.
sodium bicarbonate or baking soda. You're going to essentially become a little more alkaline or basic, and then you have a little more room to move before you become more acidic, and then obviously you have force production problems. So taking sodium bicarbonate, it's been used in a lot of different sports and proven in that. Only problem is you have to take a shitload of it. So you need to take I just double checked per body weight, but for most people it ends up being around 20 grams of it you take before training. So one thing you can do is you can split the dose.
Do you have an article on it?
Yep.
Okay.
If you guys want an article on it, just message Mona and we'll send it through.
Yeah.
But
yeah, comment below if there's any, we have a whole bunch of articles on these things and it's got scientific research. So, there's been a lot of real hard work being put into these articles to give you true and honest information that there has been research done on it. So let us know in the comments below if there is anything that you guys would like to know, or if you even missed the supplement that you would like to know more of. And this will also be like another live that we can do in the future.
Mm-hmm. And then, but you can split that 20 gram dose throughout the day. So you could do 3 doses of, say, 7 grams through the day and you can get the same effect. Another one is pomegranate juice. So pomegranate juice has been used even within elite weightlifting. That's shown some promise. You need to drink a shitload of it. That's the only problem because it's quite expensive. You probably have to drink maybe even 1.5 liters throughout the day to get the effects. So, but that's something as well that can improve your outputs and the total work that you perform. Regarding supplements that you potentially don't need to waste your money on, BCAAs is one of them. So branched chain amino acids. Adding branched chain amino acids to a diet where you're already getting adequate protein has no further benefit on strength, muscle, anything. So you don't need to take BCAAs whatsoever.
That's why I take it just for flavor.
Yeah,
literally.
Mona likes.
I like the
flavor.
I like the taste of BCAAs.
She likes the grape flavors.
Actually, bubblegum. Great bubblegum. This is a great bubblegum flavor.
Other than that, I think we've covered most supplements, or at least the mainstream ones that you buy. You can buy these essentially in bulk powder form themselves. Do you have any other supplements you want to add to this? We're hitting an hour now.
Yeah. No, I think we covered the most important ones, the ones that people always like to ask questions about. That's why I say there's if you walk firstly into a supplement store, this is just a piece of advice that I want to give. If you walk into a supplement store, which is my favorite place to be because I love browsing, go in there knowing exactly what you want. Because firstly, the salesperson will sell you what they get commission on. So don't trust when they say to you, oh, this is the best thing to take. Because most often they will sell you the thing they get the most commission on. And then secondly, when you go in there, it can be very overwhelming. I know. So, that's why there's people out there us, you can ask us questions, if there's anything we don't know, we will even try and go and find out because we like to know these kind of answers too. So it's just really important to make sure that, you don't just go and Google a whole bunch of things because Google will also not be truthful to you with regards to what you need to take because a lot of it is James will go, he knows the whole thing. It depends on SEO rankings and that kind of thing. So people can get their thing to the top and it can be the best supplements or the best 10 supplements you need to take, but it's often not the best 10 supplements
the best supplements with the highest commissions.
Exactly. So again, just like the salesperson, that will be the same thing. So go in there knowing what you want, know what ingredients to look for if you do buy something that's maybe got multiple ingredients, and know then the amounts that you want to in the ingredients. And I know it's a lot, but that's also the best way that you're going to get a bang for your buck, because at the end of the day, supplements is also a money making scheme. There's a lot of people out there that sells a whole bunch of rubbish. Most of the time when you walk into a supplement shop and you see all of those supplements, it's literally like probably 90% of them is like crap supplements.
Just fancy labels.
Just fancy labels, and the bottle who looks the fanciest, you would be like, oh, this looks good, this must probably work. And again, my next thing is, remember, everything you take, if you are a clean sport athlete and you get tested, it's at your own risk. Make sure you know that supplement is clean. Make sure that whatever you put into your body, has either an informed sport sticker on it, or you message your drug-free sport. And then also, if you're a person that basically wants to take supplements just for, like, say you're just a normal gym junkie, also just make sure that whatever you put into your body, is safe. And again, like we said, with, just a quick recap with regarding the caffeine, if you're not used to taking things with high amounts of caffeine, rather take a lot lower dose, or a quarter scoop or half a scoop or something. And if you find that it works for you and you can probably up the caffeine, then you can do that. Don't go, if you've never taken supplements before, go and buy a pre-workout and take a massive scoop, because you see some of your fitness influencers take, a double scoop, or they dry scoop it, or something like that. Don't go and do silly things.
You can die from dry scooping.
Yeah.
There's some news stories on that.
So, yeah, exactly. So don't go and do silly things, because at the end of the day, you have one body. Look after it. Make sure that you feed it really well with, good quality food. And then the same thing with supplements. Don't go and just put shitty, cheap, supplements into your body, and then at the end of the day, totally mess up your hormones, your immune system, and all of those kind of things.
And if or when we eventually make supplements, you can buy ours instead.
Definitely. We are in the process of, like, talking about it. We are in the process of talking about it, because the thing is, we've spoken about, like, all the crappy supplements and stuff out there, and we really do want to make sure that if we do develop something, that it's of the highest quality, because our name is attached to it, and it's not just about making money, but it's actually about giving you the best supplement out there with the best
lift big, eat big.
Yeah,
Creatine.
and yes, exactly. Lift big, eat big creatine or pre-workout or whatever it might be. So guys, yes, if you are watching this video, like the replay of it, and you like it, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, ring that notification bell so that you know the next time there is another live. And also, I just want to add, if you want to read a whole bunch of articles on either weightlifting or supplementation or, strength training, etc., go to liftbigeatbig.com. Okay. And then also, if you are a person that's more on the mental side of things, because, obviously my YouTube channel covers a lot of mindset stuff, you can go to helpingpsychology.com, but it is all in the description below. You will also see in the description below, there's some free goodies for you. So there's free ebooks and stuff that you can go and grab. Like, for example, if you're a weightlifter, an ebook on 16 ways to master your snatch and clean and jerk. And then the same thing with my helpingpsychology.com website. You can go and grab a free ebook on how to build mind-blowing confidence. Do you want to add something?
Nope.
Okay. So this was our weekly live. We will catch you guys again next week. Thank you again for all the support, and we will see you in the next one. You know, Mike?